My pranams to revered Swami Sarvalokanandaji Maharaj, and my heartiest namaskars to all the esteemed dignitaries seated here on the dais, and also my namaskars and deep affection to all of you, my dear future of India. Today we have assembled here to discuss this wonderful subject of what was Vivekananda's call to the nation. I came here with several bits of ideas in my mind, thinking that I would be stressing upon this point and that point. But frankly speaking, just now what we heard from our dear sister Priyadarshini, it was something beautiful. I would request the authorities here to share this printout with every participant here in this hall. What she has compiled, she has taken the very essence of Swami Vivekananda's ideas, which every youth should be deeply pondering about. So it is my request to the authorities here to share that paper with each one of you, from which you can really think deeply about what Vivekananda had wanted, his vision. The most striking thing which she touched upon was the first line itself, the India's idea of nationhood. Unfortunately, you just see, I'm just stimulated by that idea. We have been imitating the West for the last 75 years, making our nationhood stand on the Western concept. You know what Vivekananda wanted? Long before the Western nations even came into being, this India existed as a nation. But what was the basis of that nationhood? Remember, it was religion and spirituality. Today, in the name of secularism, what we have been doing is we have been literally strangulating the very soul of Bharat in the name of secularism by not letting the spirituality and religion of this land become a part and parcel of our education system. So, this was a beautiful point which was touched upon by Priyadarshini, and I really thank her for this and the boldness with which she has uttered this idea. The basis of India's nationhood is different. We had a different idea of nationhood, and we should not be imitating the Westerners in this respect. We have our own individuality and identity. Now, when we talk about individuality and identity, you see, now many things are coming to my mind related to this very issue. You know, the best way to destroy a person or a race or a nation is to wipe out his or the nation's or the society's identity and individuality. अगर आपको किसी एक राष्ट्र को खत्म करना हो, तो उसका सबसे उत्तम जो तरीका होगा वो ये होगा कि आप उस राष्ट्र के पहचान को नष्ट कर दीजिए, वो राष्ट्र अपने आप ही नष्ट हो जाएगा. This is what exactly unfortunately which has been happening with India for the last several centuries, and we haven't been able to correct this mistake even after our independence in 1947. Now, what was the uniqueness of this great personality called Vivekananda? I'm just coming to that point. What did Vivekananda actually give to us? If you just look into the life of this great teacher, the greatest thing that he did was, he gave to India, he gave to Bharat her lost identity, her lost individuality. And that is how he has saved Bharat in the modern times. And how did he do that? Everyone who has read Vivekananda's life, you all know what happened, how he could accomplish this. Swamiji, whenever we think about Vivekananda, the first picture that comes before our eyes is this magnanimous personality standing on that platform of the Parliament of Religions in Chicago, And what did he do? Something magical. On that day, 11 September 1893, what did he accomplish? I don't know how many of you have read this Chicago addresses carefully. If you just read sentence by sentence, you will see what Vivekananda was actually accomplishing. The first sentence, he says, I thank you all in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. Which is this most ancient order of the monks in the world? I ask you this question. That great ancient order of monks belonging to the Vedika Sanatana Dharma, which is today known as Hindu Dharma. Second sentence, I thank you in the name of the mother of all religions. Look at the words. He is striking at the very roots. He is saying that which is this mother of all religions, and is thanking the audience in the name of that mother of all religions. Which is this mother of all religions? Hindu Dharma. Third sentence, he says, I thank you in the name of the millions and millions of Hindus of all sects and classes. Just see, this turning point event in the modern history started with a thumping pride in what? The great Hindu Sanatana Dharma. He was giving back India her lost identity and individuality. Why I am saying that he was giving us back our lost individuality and identity is that if you just know the historical background at that time, what was India's condition? We all know centuries of Islamic invasion and all those unfortunate events which took place in this land, which had eventually and gradually created such a situation that people of this land slowly started to lose faith in their own dharma. They started to lose confidence in their own nationhood. They started to feel inferior in the face of the Westerners, the Britishers, who literally exploited us ruthlessly. So in that situation, on the one hand, India was going down and down into the pits of darkness, and contrastingly, on the other side, we see the Western nations shining in that material glory. In such a situation, what happened was Indians began to lose confidence in their own great country, Bharat, and also they started to look down upon their own dharma. This is how we had started to lose our own individuality and identity. And we wanted to become like the Westerners. And this disease is continuing even today owing to the existence of our incomplete and deficient education system. The Swami Vivekananda was the first person in the modern times, in the modern history, who dared to stand on that world platform and proclaim the glory of Hindu Sanatana Dharma and the glory of Bharatavarsha. And look at our education system today. It is such that it makes us feel just the opposite. You should not be talking about Hindu Sanatana Dharma, which is the very thing which gives us our identity and individuality. I ask this question, what is Bharat without this Hindu Sanatana Dharma? It is the very soul of this land. Swamiji says, if this dharma dies within 3 generations, India will be dead and gone. What makes Bharat? Bharat is this great system of thought of the Vedas, which is today known as Hindu Sanatana Dharma. Now, there is one important question here. That's why I thank Priyadarshini for keeping that extremely sensitive point which usually we don't want to talk about. Too much of this brainwashing of the secularism, the poisoning idea which has been literally strangulating the soul of this country. All the best things that can happen in this land is once again by reviving our dharma, and this dharma alone is going to save the world. Let me come to that point. Why I am beating the drums of Hindu Sanatana Dharma? Let us remember one thing. We have been continuously talking about the teachings of Vivekananda, the teachings of Vivekananda. What is the teachings of Vivekananda? Did he come to teach something new? He was the greatest spokesperson in the modern times of the great ideas which were left behind by the great rishis of this land. The rishis of the Vedas, the great discoveries which our rishis have made in that hoary past. He was the one who kept those ideas before the entire world. So what were the great discoveries of our great ancestors? You know what Hinduism essentially teaches? Hinduism teaches that, from the morning we have been hearing some very wonderful talks. Most revered Swami Gautamanji spoke about Atmavishwas. Atmavishwas. Srinivasji was talking about meditation. Meditation on what? Atmavishwas, Atmashraddha, Atmasamman. These beautiful terms, it cannot be translated into English language. It all has got one word which is very important, which is the very focus of our attention. That is Atman. Hindu Sanatana Dharma or the Vedas, what they teach us is the teaching of the Atman. In each one of us, there is one center of divinity which is immortal and which is our true nature. The Vedas teach us that each man, each woman is divine. Divinity is our true nature. We are not this small framework looked at from the gender standpoint as a male or a female. We are much, much unthinkably vast and greater than the small thing called the body. And that stuff is what is known as Atman. It is a matter of self-discovery. The glory of Hindu Dharma, why Swami Vivekananda says that Hindu Dharma is universal. This is the only Dharma which can become universal. The reason is that this is the only system which is not based upon personality. It is not the worship of this person or that person. Remember, Hindu Dharma is not the worships of personalities as such. We can use these personalities and forms as a helping factor, but essentially it is the man's search for truth. We are all seeking the truth, the divine consciousness, which is referred to by the term called Atman. Great rishis, they discovered it. And it is lying, throbbing in each one of us. If you follow the method showed by these great yogis, you will also be able to come and experience this infinite focus of consciousness which is throbbing in our hearts. And we can see the life-transforming consequence of this great experience. And this is what Hinduism essentially teaches. Now the second point. Why I say that this Hindu Dharma alone can be universal is that now as this Hindu Dharma essentially depends upon this Atman, the light of consciousness, this is the one thing which can unify the entire human race. We are all one. This is the teaching of the great Vedas. This capacity to unify the entire human race into one family, this is the inexhaustible capability of this great Dharma which India proclaims, which was born in this great Punya Bhumi called Bharat, of which Swami Vivekananda was the greatest spokesperson in the modern times. 1200 years back, Sri Shankaracharya did the same thing. Interestingly, now it is coming to my mind, tomorrow, a 108 feet tall statue of Sri Shankaracharya is going to be unveiled in Omkareshwar, the heart of India. What a wonderful thing. It is Bharat's greatest tribute to this great spiritual teacher who was the teacher of divinity, plain, naked divinity. Every man is divine, every woman is divine, this creation itself is divine. This is the great teaching of the Vedas which have been coming down to us from the hoary past through a succession of teachers in which we have such great masters called Shankaracharya and Vivekananda. Shankaracharya, 1200 years back, he unified India through Advaita. What a wonderful thing. Through the teachings of the Atman. It was a great accomplishment. Swami Vivekananda says, had not Shankaracharya come, perhaps Hinduism would have been disappeared from this land. He was the first great unifier of this land in and through the teachings of the Atman, Brahman. And in the modern times, it is Vivekananda who once again followed that very method. If you have studied Swami Vivekananda's life and teachings, tell me, what did he preach throughout his 9 years from 1893 till the last day of his life? What did he teach? The only one thing with which he was concerned was Atman, 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 the divinity of every man and every woman. It is on the basis of this divinity, this Atman, we can unite the entire world. That's why Vivekananda says it is Hindu Dharma alone which can become a universal religion, and this Hindu Dharma is the very soul of this land. Our nationhood stands on this Hindu Dharma, and we have to be proud about it. Vivekananda wore this identity of Hindu Dharma on his sleeves. Today we have been made to feel ashamed to openly talk about Hindu Dharma. This is the one brainwashing which we have to clear from our minds. And we should be understanding what Hindu Dharma is. What is the basis of India's nationhood? Let us talk about it openly. And this pride in Hindu Dharma, there is something speciality about it. You know what is the speciality? This pride is never destructive. Hindus have never gone and cut the throats of our neighbors. It has never invaded other lands. We never do that because we look into the divinity existing in every human being. This is the one dharma which talks about universal love, irrespective of which nation you belong to, irrespective of which race you belong to, irrespective of which language you speak. This is the inexhaustible capacity of Hindu Dharma, which is there only in this Dharma. Swamiji says, that is why this is the true Dharma which doesn't break humanity into different compartments. It unifies. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This world is one family. That is why, my dear children, do not be ashamed to speak about who you are. Wear it on your sleeves. You should know what this land belongs to. You should know what is the basis of the culture and civilization of this great land called India. And we should be proud about it. Our identity, our individuality, which was given back to us through this great son of the soil called Vivekananda. That is why we hold him to the maker of the modern India. If we had not got back that identity, we would have been lost our battle long back. That's why there is no end to our gratitude to this great son of soil called Vivekananda. Because of him, today Hindu Dharma is existing in the modern times. 1200 years back, it was Shankaracharya who did that. And we have to keep this great work going on. Last few words before I wind up. You see, Vivekananda had foreseen the rising India. And I can't complete my talk without referring to that beautiful sentence, so poetic and full of prophetic wisdom. In one of his talks in Madras, Swamiji says, what does he say? He says, he was as if he was seeing in front of his eyes the rising India. As if literally he is seeing it. And today you can see where India is going, in which direction India is going. And what was he seeing? 1897, just imagine, at a time when the India was completely immersed in darkness. There was not a single ray of hope at that time. At that time, how could this man see the future of India in such glorious radiance? How could he do that? Swamiji says in 1897, the longest night seems to be passing away. The sorest trouble seems to be coming to an end at last. India, this motherland of ours, is rising. This motherland of ours is rising. None can resist her anymore. No outward power can hold her back anymore. And never again is she going to sleep anymore, for this infinite giant is rising to her feet. Such an electrifying utterance. In 1897, Vivekananda had spoken about it. 1897, he is seeing the rising India before his eyes. And today we have touched the moon. We are on the Mars. We have sent our satellite to the sun. And remember, sky is not the limit for India. This is just the beginning. Swamiji says, India will be so glorious in the future that all its past attainments will pale into insignificance. Just imagine, in the past, India was the greatest land on the globe. Sone ki chidiya kehte the hum log isko. If that is the case, if all the past attainments will be paling into insignificance, just imagine what is awaiting us. And sometimes I feel how fortunate we are that we are existing in these times when we are seeing that India is already coming up. Already India has started taking the lead on the global stage. And my dear children, you have a great role to play in this. You all have to be a great participants in this great rise of this Mahabharati, which has got a great role to play as far as the human race is concerned. Vivekananda had said, he had visualized, the only system which can give a new civilization to the entire humanity, that is this Hindu Dharma. In America, he had stated, beautiful utterance. What is he saying? In America, I have just started my work. I have just raised 1 or 2 waves. We have to raise a tidal wave. The society has to be turned upside down. We have to give a new civilization to the world. Look at the vision of this man. He is talking about not India alone, but in and through the great thought system of India, he wants to change the destiny of the entire human race itself. This is the great mission which India has got. And this is the great mission in which we have to participate. And if you have to really do something for this country, my dear children, remember one thing. The secret lies in sacrifice. If you want to really serve your country, take your pain and pleasures, take your name and fame, take all your comforts, all your likes and dislikes, all your selfish interests. Take all of this, make a bundle of it, throw it into the sea, and then come to serve the nation. You cannot serve this nation unless you learn to be unselfish. We want unselfish young men and women, girls and boys who can literally work unselfishly for this Mahabharati and see what is going to happen to this great country. Thank you so much.